anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. And that was, to me, the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks, it's great for the game.
The Smiley Show, only on Sport.
A new week starts right here, right now, live on a Monday morning on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination and consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. A Monday morning to look back on the weekend that was, in what a jam-packed weekend it was all around the sports landscape. Another quadruple header of NBA playoff action on a Sunday to break down and recap for you where each series stands and a couple of series surprises to begin through the opening 4 games in each of these opening round playoff series. We'll go around the weekend in Major League Baseball, nearly a month into this MLB campaign. And of course, we'll round out the 2025 NFL Draft, rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. Our final 4 rounds to end out the 2025 Draft, and Shedeur Sanders was finally selected in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns. What it all means for all 32 NFL clubs following the draft, DRS, bright and early on this Monday morning.
Wildness in the draft for sure from Shedeur Sanders' angle here. Thought he might go round number 1, definitely going to go day number 2, waits till later rounds here. Was the officials that were sitting in on the meetings telling the stories, or with these lies or these rumors? We might never know the true story, but boy, it is fun to talk about. But the NBA was sensational over the weekend, the NHL as well. Baseball picking up some steam as we head towards the month of May, which is this week. So we got a lot of action here. It's a great Monday to talk sports and kick it off in style right here on the grid. Love it.
A triple header of Stanley Cup postseason action on the ice with some thrilling results on a Sunday as well. All right, DRS, let's start it off with our recap of the opening round of the NBA playoffs. 4 games on a Sunday. And, man, they were all pretty sensational, certainly in Minneapolis between the Timberwolves and the Lakers. L.A. led by double digits, exactly 10 points entering the 4th quarter. But Anthony Edwards had other ideas. A 43-point masterful performance, including 16 big ones in the 4th and final stanza. And the Timberwolves come all the way back to beat the Lakers at home and take a 3-1 series lead, 116-113. The Timberwolves cover as a 2.5-point home favorite. A couple of key buckets from Jaden McDaniels down the stretch, and then a wonderful defensive play taking a pass away from LeBron James. And at the very end, Austin Reeves had a decent look from the right corner, unable to tickle the nylon. So the Lakers go down 3-1, and Minnesota prevails behind a 43-point performance from the Timberwolves on Sunday.
Lean on your best player in the biggest moments. That's exactly what the Timberwolves did. And the thing I loved about it, too, is in the post-game press conference, Anthony Edwards basically telling you, like, yeah, they were gassed. I felt it. I needed to keep my pedal down, and he certainly did that. LeBron James efficient. Saying, oh, man, only shot 9 times from the floor, but he repeatedly got to the free throw line for 27 points. Look, if Luka gets 38, LeBron gets 27, and Rui Hachimura drops 23 points, you should win that basketball game. The Lakers on the ropes. Why? Because right now the Minnesota Timberwolves stole that game and are the better team in this series.
Yes, they certainly are, DRS.
Yep.
You could argue a couple of games here down the stretch in this opening round set that we expected to be competitive. Had the Lakers played just a little bit better, they could be up 3-1. But that's a lot of what-if conversation. What we know is Anthony Edwards being brilliant in this postseason atmosphere, 43 points, 16 in the fourth and final quarter. As he said, DRS, I could felt they were gassed. J.J. Redick played the entire 5 guys for the Lakers in LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith the entirety of the second half. A great note from our producer extraordinaire, Joe Frizo. The first time all 5 guys have played the entire final 2 quarters in a postseason game in recorded NBA playoff history. And Minnesota takes advantage for that 3-1 series lead. 27 out of LeBron, but a goose egg, 0 in the fourth and final quarter. Opening game of our 4 on Sunday, and another late game thriller with some controversy as well. To the Motor City we go. The New York Knicks hold off the Detroit Pistons 94-93 to take that 3-1 series lead. The Knickerbockers win outright as a 2-point dog. A total of 217 stays well under. But DRS, I mentioned a controversial close, a wild scramble late. Cade Cunningham misses what would have been the go-ahead jumper with about 6 seconds remaining. Scramble for the loose ball, knocked out to the corner. Tim Hardaway Jr., the former Knick, with an opportunity to beat his former team. Contacted by Josh Hart. No whistle on the floor. Comes to a close. New York wins by 1. But afterward, the officiating crew saying they admitted it. They failed to call a foul call in what should have been whistled a foul, which would have given Tim Hardaway Jr. 3 free throws to give Detroit a win.
It's crazy the way it played out. The Pistons have only themselves to blame. Up in the fourth quarter, should have closed the game out, but in all intents and purposes, the refs stole that game from the Detroit Pistons. This should be 2-2 going back to New York here. And the thing I love about this is the 2-minute report comes out quickly as well, where the players are in the locker room giving their, like, hey, beat writers come and ask them questions like, oh, look at that. Yeah, we got robbed in this. It shouldn't be like that. Like, I'm not saying that you should be able to review every single contact play in the final 2 minutes, but it was clear he got fouled on a 3-point shot. He'd make 2 of the 3 shots. They win the basketball game going away, and it's 2-2. What a series altering, I should say, change of opinions here now on the Knicks. Will be able to beat the Pistons because why? The Pistons collapsed in game number 1, then the refs collapsed in the previous game right here. It's a shame it goes down that way. Pistons should have won. The NBA goes, yeah, you should have won, but you didn't. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, plenty more conversation around that in just a moment. The Celtics in Orlando, DRS, holding off the Magic in winning 107-98. Boston covers as a 7.5-point road favorite. Jason Tatum in his second game back now for the C's drops 37. Boston takes that commanding 3-1 series lead after losing in game number 3 to the Magic.
Mission accomplished already by Orlando. You stole 1 game. You go back, and obviously it's going to be a gentleman's sweep in 5 games. Just the way it is. Tatum came back in that series sooner than we thought, and maybe the Orlando Magic could say, you know what, can we steal game 4 as well? Wasn't going to happen. We always expected this, at least I did, for this to be cleaned up in 5 games.
Yeah, DRS, we were always on it. Could Orlando's defense be good enough for 1 game, more than likely at home in Florida to steal one? They were in game 3, not so much in game 4. And basically everybody for the Magic, not named Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, haven't really showed up all that much this series. Big news yesterday in the 4th game between the Pacers and the Bucks. Indiana wins 129-103 on the road in Milwaukee, winning outright as a 4.5-point dog to take that 3-1 series lead. But Donnie, the story, Damian Lillard, who returned in game number 2, miraculously recovering from a blood clot, injured early in the opening quarter. The Bucks fear it is the worst. It looked like an Achilles injury. It seems to be a ruptured Achilles for Dame, awaiting official confirmation on what exactly that injury is.
And headed towards a gentleman's sweep now with an easy victory for the Pacers. But also understand this, the Bucks will be at a crossroads now. You have a high-priced veteran guard that's 35 years old that tore his Achilles, it looks like here. His next season is already done. Maybe he comes back for the playoffs next year, if you can even do that. That's a devastating injury. And right away, a couple minutes into the game, that happens. Just absolutely deflates the home gym at that point, which the Milwaukee Bucks wanted to use that crowd fresh off that game number 3. Weren't able to do it. Right away, Pacers better team. They'll move on, but that's devastation for the Bucks.
Yeah. Doc Rivers saying after the game, it does not look very promising. We await official confirmation on Dame Lillard. The prank call to Shedeur Sanders on Friday night. We know the culprit, Jax Ulbrich, the son of new Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, who visiting his parents' home in Atlanta reportedly found an open tablet to get Sanders' number. He called Shedeur yesterday, apologized. The Falcons will take no further action against Jeff Ulbrich.
Then there shouldn't be any further action. It was a dumb act by a kid trying to be funny here. But let's be honest, it's a prank call here. And how social media-wise Shedeur Sanders and Shiloh Sanders are, I'm surprised like Shiloh probably loved that call behind the scenes. Like, yo, bro, you got pranked on that call. Like, this is social media. It's what it does. And away we go.
We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. Blues, Caps, Canes, Oilers in OT get wins on Sunday on the ice. NBA playoff action next.
Career season for Elly De La Cruz. It happened last year. One of the most popular players in baseball as well. And a lot of guys are stealing bases again, and some of them seem like they may be able to steal more bases than Elly De La Cruz on the Cincinnati Reds. So I will ask you this question, Tom. Buy or sell, De La Cruz will lead the league in steals this season?
Sell. I sell on this. I'm not going to say it's already because he's just a handful behind, but there's another Cruz that could easily lead the league in steals. That's O'Neal Cruz. But like you said, there are a lot of players stealing. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, is always a viable option. Victor Scott, we know it can be very good. I think that's where we'll see things end up. The fact that he did so last year and he was the odds-on favorite to lead the league in steals this year, I just don't see it repeating. And frankly, there's going to be a point where maybe the Reds need to protect him. Like, they need him to be healthy. You don't want him potentially risk himself on any further injury if they're going to make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll catch fire. I'm going to buy this. And the Reds went for about a week and a half without basically scoring a run. I do think as the weather heats up, he will get on base more. It has been, as I've said, a wintry April in a lot of different locations. And I can't quite figure out why the Reds, especially at home, are not hitting like they have in the past. And I'm just going to put it down as weather and nothing else. So I'm going to say De La Cruz at the end of the year does it. The competition, and Tom brought up a great point. O'Neal Cruz certainly off to a great start too. But I'm going to end up buying this, and I think 85 steals again for Elly De La Cruz, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, why not?
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday morning, recapping the weekend that was on the early line on SportsGrid. I said right before the break, NBA playoff recaps. That's next. Right now, we recap the finality of the 2025 NFL Draft. In DRS, we did not expect to say that on Saturday we needed the recap where Shedeur Sanders was selected. I thought you and Joe would be doing that on Friday morning. Of course, the slide, unlike really we have ever seen in the history of the NFL Draft, comes to a close in round number 5 on Saturday afternoon with pick number 144 overall. The Cleveland Browns draft Shedeur Sanders. It took so much longer than anybody anticipated, but in the 5th round, the draft stock of Shedeur Sanders stopped slipping, and the Cleveland Browns make their determination. Donnie, there was multiple times throughout the 2025 NFL draft that on Thursday, Friday, even Saturday, the Browns were the odds-on favorites to draft Shedeur Sanders. We just thought entering Friday night in night number 2, it might have been in their first 2 picks in the opening 4 selections of that 2nd round. What did you make on the draft slide that was for Shedeur Sanders to end up in a very jumbled and chaotic-looking quarterback room in Cleveland?
It's pretty incredible. Now, understand this, me from a college football perspective. It's why I don't do the draft stuff. Like, I don't analyze these guys. I don't really bet the draft, but I do know what talent is when I see it. And the hype all through the season, again, to start the season with Shedeur Sanders possibly being the number 1 overall pick before the season started. He didn't have a bad season. He put up some really good numbers. So the fall from everybody overdrafts quarterbacks to him dropping to the 5th round was pretty crazy. But let's understand this from a Cleveland perspective. They got a lot of good football players. And we were thinking that they might be taking Shedeur Sanders in the 1st round, or at least he was the mild favorite when we talked here on Friday morning at the FanDuel Sportsbook to be picked number 33. And he fell all the way down. So I do think that the Browns may have gotten a gem right here, getting all the players they wanted, offensive backfield help, tight end help, which I absolutely loved who they picked, and then also a stud defensive lineman to go on that defense that has a lot of capable pieces already. But the Shedeur drop was crazy to me. Like, I thought he should have been a 1st-round pick. I thought, wow, somebody's going to get value in the 2nd round. For him to drop all the way that far, let's understand this too, because it isn't all about football talent, because you'll see the haters online and you'll see the people backing Shedeur. I think it was a combination of maybe his arm strength isn't that deep, but I want to know really what happened in some of these meetings. Was it where, the talk that we saw Dion before the season, I'm not letting my son go to certain teams, and then saying, okay, son, when you go into an interview, or at least it's only a 10-minute interview, maybe throw things a little bit out of whack so they don't think they can draft you, because I have 3 teams circled I want you to go to. Well, when that circles around even to the teams that they want to go to, and Shedeur actually has a very good interview, let's just say, in the back of their mind going like, if things don't work out our way, is he going to pull some shenanigans behind the scenes? That all goes into it. Let's understand this. It wasn't strictly about talent, him dropping to the 5th round, which we'll find out more because you'll get more of that behind the scenes talk. But for me, I thought he was going round number 1. I did.
Yeah, so DRS, I think there's so much, convoluted in this Shedeur Sanders scenario. And why exactly did his draft stock take maybe the largest hit we have ever seen from a guy that exactly a week ago, when you and I were welcoming people to a Monday on the early line, saying, welcome to NFL Draft Week officially, Shedeur Sanders was minus 280 to be a top 10 pick, not just a 1st rounder, a top 10 selection. So to end up in round number 5, not just round 2, night 2, round 3, even by the end of Friday or early on Saturday, but number 144 overall is absolutely stunning and shocking, and perhaps the largest draft slide we have ever seen. I think there's been so much reporting and so much information divulged about Shedeur Sanders and his NFL draft stock that we're not breaking any news here. I would say the summation that makes the most sense to me is what NFL Network's Tom Pelissero shared out on Saturday morning before the start of round number 4. That it's not just the character or the bravado or the perceived cockiness for Shedeur Sanders, that maybe this guy is slightly a jerk. I think it is the way that he went about the draft process, and DRS really getting rid of the opportunity to work out in front of draft scouts. They can watch his college tape from his time at Boulder all they want, but to without working out in front of their eyes, choosing only his Colorado Pro Day really to have that full examination when everything can be scripted, I think rubbed a lot of people the wrong way and maybe moved him down draft boards in ways we did not expect. I'm not saying it's correct. I am not saying it is fair. In fact, I would lean the opposite. But for me, that is the reason that Shedeur Sanders saw such a slid in his draft stock. And a guy that, Donnie, if you would have told me on Thursday night, hey, based on the talent, if you really watch the game film from his time in Boulder, he's not a 1st-round quarterback. In a weak quarterback draft class in 2025, I'd say okay. For how things played out on Friday, and then ironically enough, for Shedeur to go to the team where it was the most shocking draft pick at the time, Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders, to end up in that same rookie minicamp in quarterback room, that is the ironic thing. And that was the part that I think left all of us stunned.
No, it did leave us stunned at that point because the expectations, again, we're oddsmen here, like with the FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you have a heavy favorite going for a certain spot here, and this team in the Pittsburgh Steelers, no way he gets to 21, you might have to trade up to get him. For him to fall out of the first round, it's like, okay, teams may have not had him as high as we actually thought in the media than some of the scouts did. But for sure, again, the odds market reappeared on day number 2 and said, Shedeur is going to the Browns. We don't know if it's going to be the first overall pick. He's a minus 130, minus 140 favorite early in the morning, which again, shifted throughout the day, but there's no way he makes it past the 4th pick in the 2nd round because once again, that's Cleveland. But understand this as well. If you would have told Cleveland Browns fans that you were going to get Shedeur Sanders, like, oh man, what do we have to trade up to get in the 1st round? For you to get him in the 5th round there and get stud players all the way through up to that, and if you now get it an angry Shedeur Sanders that, I mean, I don't think you need any motivation. Yep. The guy played very well in high school, very well early in his college career, and at Colorado to say, I can't believe all these people picked over me. Let me really hone in and test my skills here. Maybe the Browns got the absolute steal of the draft here in Shedeur Sanders. We don't know that yet, but it's just the way that it might be heading towards that path.
Listen, we've seen day 3 quarterbacks have some success. Right now, Dak Prescott is a starter. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, a starter. When you think day 3, you think round 6, you think 199 overall, and you think Tom Brady. Of course, we're not putting Shedeur Sanders in that stratosphere just yet. You do wonder, though, DRS, because now it's the time for the response. If your questions about Shedeur's character is his perceived cockiness, how does this humbling experience affect him? He does not come in now as the presumed starter by any means. He's battling for a spot in the quarterback room and on the 53-man roster. One final thought on the draft next.
Here's a tip. Let's say you bet big on a 4-game moneyline parlay. Your first 3 bets have hit, but you're a little nervous about the last game. Consider placing a separate bet against the team you have winning in your parlay. You're technically a winner either way. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
You know, Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. You know, they've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So one final thought on how the 2025 NFL Draft played out, with I'm sure many more looks throughout this week, but specifically here on the story of the draft, both round number 1, night number 1, and night number 2, rounds 2 and 3, continuing, Donnie, in an unexpected fashion till Saturday afternoon in round number 5. Pick number 144 overall, Shedeur Sanders, selected by the Cleveland Browns. Here is how the Browns quarterback room looks for the upcoming 2025 NFL season. They traded for Kenny Pickett earlier this offseason from Philadelphia. Right now, is he the presumed number one starting quarterback? Perhaps. They bring back Joe Flacco, who led Cleveland to a playoff appearance in only 5 games as a starter in the regular season 2 years ago. Then you've got the guy, Dillon Gabriel, who was drafted 94th overall, stunningly in front of Shedeur Sanders. Sanders drafted in the 5th round, and of course, Deshaun Watson, who we do not expect to play this year, but Cleveland, of course, still heavily tied into all of those finances from the salary perspective. Donnie, when Myles Garrett was brought back by the Cleveland Browns earlier this offseason for $40 million per year, Myles Garrett had expressed that he wanted to be traded because he wanted to play for a legitimate Super Bowl contender. So when Garrett was pushed on that idea, how do you feel the Browns can be a legitimate Super Bowl contender without a starting quarterback in place? He told the reporters, the Browns have told me they have a plan for the quarterback room. Is that it?
Yeah, doesn't look like a great plan to me overall. And understand this, you were hoping to get a veteran guy, and you did in Joe Flacco. Does that move the needle for me? No. Kenny Pickett comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles. Does that move the needle? No. But at least you got 2 competent starters, per se, that have started in the NFL. But the interesting part to me is Deshaun Watson is obviously just going to be scapegoated right out of town, and rightfully so. Don't even show up to camp. Here's your paycheck. Just hang out here. But is there animosity in that quarterback room? Because, Kenny Pickett seems like a nice guy. Joe Flacco, he's a nice guy at this point. But Dillon Gabriel gets drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Like, what is that training camp, roster looking like where the Browns say, well, we like Dillon Gabriel over you, Shedeur. So he's going to get the majority of the snaps. Like, the quarterback room is really interesting and maybe muddied at this point where competition always leads to success for me. So if you have 4 of those guys outside of Deshaun Watson competing for the job, may the best man win, so go ahead and do it. But what's the treatment of Dillon Gabriel to Shedeur Sanders? 2 rookies coming in. Because the reason I bring this up, if you remember the Commanders back in the day with RG3, they drafted Kirk Cousins as well. But there was a clear path that's like, no. RG3 is our starter, but we thought Kirk Cousins was really good, and on the board, he was the best value there, so we took him. Let's see how things work out. And it turned out that Kirk Cousins turned out to be the better quarterback because RG3 got some injuries there. But that's not what Cleveland did here. So I'm interested to see how Cleveland treats this situation right away. It's like, no, Shedeur. You're 4th on the depth chart. That's where you're going to be. We're going to let Dillon at least spin this year to see if he can win the job. It's kind of crazy.
And RG3, of course, was the 2nd overall pick, and Kirk Cousins was a 4th round selection. This is a late 3rd rounder in Dillon Gabriel, kind of that bare minimum in terms of maybe competing for a starting job. But DRS, what is so interesting, and at some point in his career, not right away for Dillon Gabriel, but what is so interesting about Cleveland being the franchise that ended up with Shedeur Sanders. By the time we reached round number 4, I really thought it would be some team we did not expect or even highlight in Shedeur Sanders conversations either in the build-up to the NFL draft or on Thursday or Friday, because the teams that we did, the Steelers, the Raiders, even the Browns, had passed on Shedeur Sanders so many times already, and specifically for the Browns, had selected another quarterback in round number 3 in front of Sanders. So again, we can debate the why Shedeur Sanders' draft stock took a big tumble. But the reality is that it did. So how does Shedeur Sanders respond? Because he is not going to Cleveland now to be that day 1 starter. He is not going to Cleveland now, despite the notoriety that will always follow him, to become the starting quarterback at some point in 2025. DRS, Sanders is heading to the land to try to earn a spot, maybe on a practice squad or at all in that quarterback room as a 2nd or 3rd stringer. So how does that humble him? How does he respond in doing so? And will that competition be the key and the difference? That's what we await to see.
We do. And also understand this, too, how players are built differently, right? Like, Shedeur is an alpha. How does he handle being the 3rd or the 4th string quarterback? But we should put up a poll on this one. I'm telling you right now, Shedeur Sanders is going to start at least 1 football game for the Cleveland Browns in 2025. There's no doubt in my mind. That quarterback room isn't strong enough where they're going to have a great season. Shedeur will be starting at some point this season. Will he be great? Will he be bad? I don't know. He will start a game in 2025.
DRS calls his shot. NBA playoff recaps next.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try Blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did games. Yeah. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
A full NBA playoff recap from the weekend that was. 4 games on Sunday, and of course, all that we saw on Saturday as well. We start in the Twin Cities on Sunday afternoon. Game number 4 between the Timberwolves and the Lakers. Minnesota entering the 4th game of this opening round set with a 2-1 series lead. Minnesota leaves game number 4 up 3-1 after a sensational playoff performance from the Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. 43 points to lead the T-Wolves to a 116-113 win. Minnesota covers as a 2.5-point home favorite by the hook. 16 points from Ant in that 4th and final quarter of DRS. Good enough to lead on that 4th quarter rally against LA. The Lakers led by double digits, 94-84, entering those final 12 minutes. Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, and the T-Wolves had other ideas. They take a commanding 3-1 series lead over Luka and LeBron and the rest of the Lakers.
And also, you're taking a look at a lot of veteran players playing a lot of minutes for the Los Angeles Lakers, talking about Luka being gassed at this point, and maybe he is because he's playing 46 minutes, shooting 28 times from the floor, 5 of 12 from three-point range, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. But here's the issue as well. Like Luka Doncic, when he's at his best, is triple-double city, right? 22 points, 12 rebounds, 13 assists, and away you go. Did you see his assist line in that game, Ben? 2, which means he's got to do everything himself to try to help out the Los Angeles Lakers as opposed to sitting back and being just a facilitator, which is when he's at his best, scoring and assisting, distributing around. The problem I have now with the Lakers is, where do we go? Because the issues continue to come up was, all right, we lost Anthony Davis, but we got back a sensational player. We have to try to find somebody who can play center for us, give us quality minutes that we can trust. And now we're getting Dorian Finney-Smith playing 41 minutes in a playoff game. It's kind of wild the way it works out, but you can't be great at every position. I'm just shocked that the Lakers are in this position right now, because if we're telling ourselves LeBron's healthy enough to play 45-plus minutes, so is Luka, we should be winning games, not being down 3-1 in a series right now. That's the shocking part to me, Ben.
Yeah, and DRS, it's such a good point because as we shared that brilliant note earlier from our producer extraordinaire, Joe Frizo, Dorian Finney-Smith did not start, but he played 41 minutes off the bench. In fact, he did start the second half early in that third quarter. Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura. The 5-4 J.J. Redick out there and the Lakers the entirety of the third and fourth quarters. The first time it's been the same five for the entirety of the second half in recorded NBA playoff history. And you said it earlier. Anthony Edwards acknowledged that. He noticed the Lakers were a little bit gassed as they were seeing their double-digit advantage entering the fourth quarter start to dwindle away. He put his foot on the gas pedal. He made play after play. He scored bucket after bucket. Yeah. And he let everybody, as he is capable of doing in the Twin Cities, including LeBron and Luka, know all about it. It was a sensational performance from Anthony Edwards, but it was a Jaden McDaniels bucket, DRS, with about 16 seconds left or 30 seconds left with an and one that put Minnesota up by one, made a great play on the defensive end of the floor. Anthony Edwards hit some clutch free throws. Austin Reeves had a decent look as that clock was nearing down to zero, unable to convert with the Lakers down by 3. Minnesota takes that 3-1 series advantage. Minnesota is a minus 500 favorite to win this opening round playoff series. The Lakers were nearly a $2 minus money favorite before game number 1.
Oh boy! And if you are Adam Silver right now, what is he up to? A pack a day, smoking Marlboro Reds right now, looking at those ratings that might tank down without the Los Angeles Lakers available at least in round number 2. So I always like to play those conspiracy theories, but there is no conspiracy on who's the actual better team right now. It is the Timberwolves. It's no fluke they're up 3-1 over the Los Angeles Lakers. But I'm telling you right now, and I missed an opportunity, Ben, already, because we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets. Where I told you how this year is going to play out. I don't want the Nuggets in game number 3 because they're not going to win it. I want the Nuggets in game number 4, and that's when I would bet them to win the series, which now the price is to your advantage for the Nuggets. Do I do the same thing with the Lakers, understanding what it means to the NBA? There is no way the Los Angeles Lakers, put it this way, are losing game number 5. There's no way. We're at least heading back to game number 6 in Minnesota, and I want to see what the Lakers have to offer, because I'm not saying the Timberwolves are throwing in the towel for the next game. Like, hey, guys, let's not expect energy. Let's make sure LeBron and Luka use energy, and then we'll just snatch them up in game number 6 when we have them on our home court. But I'm telling you right now, I should be buying back in the Lakers. I forgot about the Nuggets wager. The game started before I thought it was going to start, and I couldn't get that series price in. I don't want to make that same mistake here with the Lakers. I'm telling you, I don't want to.
The Lakers, DRS, will have some time to figure things out and resolve their issues before Wednesday night in game number 5. The Lakers are a 5.5-point home favorite inside Crypto.com Arena for that 5th game of this series, trying to stave off elimination and extend this opening round set. The most likely correct score, which team wins and in how many games, is Minnesota back in the Twin Cities in 6 at plus 168. If you think the Lakers can extend and the Timberwolves return to the Twin Cities to win it, plus 168 makes a lot of sense. If you think the Lakers can at least force a 7th game back in LA, LA is plus 370 DRS to win. And that correct score, Minnesota plus 680 just to get to a 7th game, as you saw there, plus 205.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. Put that graphic back up, because I want to buy into the Lakers, but winning 3 games in a row is really hard. But you would feel that if it does get to 7 games, the Lakers would be favored to be to their advantage and the momentum back. But crazy things happen in game number 7. So I think maybe the better bet would be just to take the 7 games at a plus 205. Or if you're saying to yourself, like I am saying to myself, if you just want to go that plus money route, think like an RBI in baseball. Hey, Ben, 2 guys at plus 175 on the Milwaukee Brewers, let's just say. Let me take one of those, and one of them hits. That's plus money in your pocket. So look at the games here. Plus 168, plus 205. You take both of those games here to say, hey, Donnie says they're going to win easily in game number 5. Well, then you automatically have plus money in your pocket, where then you're just rooting for game number 7, because why? It's a 205 price to plus 168. I think it makes sense. Right. No doubt in my mind the Lakers win game number 5, so you can be profitable whether it goes 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, and DRS, I think it is interesting as well from that same kind of idea of how you bet these series odds. If you do think the Lakers have the potential to go on the run, if you believe, like DRS, that 7 is likely, but he also threw in the 6 games. If you think we are seeing the distance, the Lakers at plus 370, for game 7 on their home floor, but still believing anything can happen and trusting the T-Wolves, you'll have a plus money price on Minnesota on the money line for a 7th game, another way to do it where you have plus money opportunities and obviously some hedge out spots as well. I will say this, DRS. Again, you look at the box score. Luka Doncic, 38 points. Outside of game 3, he has scored at least 32 so far in this series. He has been great. LeBron James, 27, 12, and 8. 3 and 3 in terms of steals and blocks. He was sensational. You know the Lakers have the cast and crew to get it done. But with that being said, LeBron James, 0 points in the 4th and final quarter last night as Minnesota rallied from down double digits. How about the other LA team in game 4 on Saturday night? And man, what an instant classic it was. DRS, you and I were right about this series. You said there would be overtime. We saw that in the opening game. I highlighted this series, but really any other, but highlighted this series for a buzzer beater at some point. And we saw that in game 4 in Los Angeles. Nikola Jokic putting up a prayer. Long. Aaron Gordon there for the putback flush as the clock hit triple zeros. And Denver wins in game number 4 as they do. 101-99. That final score, I believe, if I am not mistaken. Yes, it is. In game number 4, Aaron Gordon, the hero, with one of the great late-game buzzer beaters you will ever see.
Oh, it was crazy finish, too. And also understand this. What happened in the 4th quarter to the offense for the Denver Nuggets? They were blowing out the Clippers, and the Clippers almost stole that game. We do expect 7 games in the series. And look, there was one guy in that series that showed up yesterday. That was Saturday Powell. 4 of 8 from 3, baby. We didn't need the 3. We got the 4 triples from Big Will.
Western Conference action on Saturday. Next.
Career season for Elly De La Cruz. It happened last year. One of the most popular players in baseball as well. And a lot of guys are stealing bases again, and some of them seem like they may be able to steal more bases than Elly De La Cruz on the Cincinnati Reds. So I will ask you this question, Tom. Buy or sell? De La Cruz will lead the league in steals this season.
Sell. I sell on this. I'm not going to say it's already because he's just a handful behind, but there's another Cruz that could easily lead the league in steals, and that's O'Neal Cruz. But like you said, there are a lot of players stealing. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, is always a viable option. Victor Scott, we know it can be very good. I think that's where we'll see things end up. The fact that he did so last year and he was the odds-on favorite to lead the league in steals this year, I just don't see it repeating. And frankly, there's going to be a point where maybe the Reds need to protect him. Like, they need him to be healthy. You don't want him potentially risk himself on any further injury if they're going to make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll catch fire. I'm going to buy this. And the Reds went for about a week and a half without basically scoring a run. I do think as the weather heats up, he will get on base more. It has been, as I've said, a wintry April in a lot of different locations. And I can't quite figure out why the Reds, especially at home, are not hitting like they have in the past. And I'm just going to put it down as weather and nothing else. So I'm going to say De La Cruz at the end of the year does it. The competition, and Tom brought up a great point. O'Neal Cruz certainly off to a great start too, but I'm going to end up buying this, and I think 85 steals again for Elly De La Cruz, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, why not?
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Timberwolves, a 3-1 series lead with the victory yesterday in the Twin Cities over the Lakers. How about some Western Conference action from a Saturday? The other LA team at home and experiencing heartbreak as we shared. Nikola Jokic, a prayer at the buzzer, missed badly, but Aaron Gordon was there. The air ball and in. A buzzer beater put back flush as time expires, Denver wins by 2, 101-99, outright as a 7-point road underdog to even up this opening round series at 2 games all. And I am comfortable saying that Nikola Jokic airballed because after the game, DRS, Aaron Gordon said it was a great pass. Nikola Jokic started laughing. They asked him, Joker, was it actually a pass? And he said no. Either way, one of the great heroic late game drama that you will see in an NBA playoff contest ends with Aaron Gordon, the hero, in Denver, tying the series back up at 2 games apiece.
Yeah, we're going 7. It's apparent from game number 1. All these close games all the way through overtime, non-overtime, chances for overtime, wild scene. And also from a Nuggets team that had a 20-plus point lead in the fourth quarter and almost blew that game. But also from a statistical number, like we are handicappers. Every assist, point, and rebound matters. What did Jokic get on that? Did he just get a missed shot, or did he actually get an assist on that dunk? I wonder how it played out, because if you technically shoot an air ball but somebody dunks it, is that a rebound and a point, obviously, for Gordon, or is it an assist from Jokic? I don't even know how that actually goes down.
I believe it would be a missed field goal attempt from Nikola Jokic and a rebound putback for Aaron Gordon, who finished with 6 rebounds and 14 points. Nikola Jokic, 36, 21, and 8, 21 rebounds on Saturday night, helping the Nuggets even have a chance, as DRS mentioned, before they got ice cold in that fourth, because the Clippers won the fourth quarter 34-16, have an opportunity to ice out LA to even the series at 2 games all.
Yeah, no, it's a great finish there at that point. Excited to watch this go up, and I assume we're going 7 in elevation. But if you are the Clippers, you had your chance. You split 1-1 in there in Denver. You housed the Nuggets in game number 3. But that's why I like the Nuggets in game number 4. There was no that. Look, they're a championship team. They understand you can't go down to 3-1, unlike the Los Angeles Lakers going down 3-1. So I expect this to go 7 games. That game number 5, the winner of game number 5 in the series, will win that series between the Nuggets and the Clippers.
In DRS, after the Clippers blew out the Nuggets in game number 3, 117-83, winning by 34 points, we felt as though this series was maybe shifting off the expectation. If the 4-5 matchup out west was the most likely to go 7, here is what we were going to see. Now we are back at 2 games apiece before we head back to altitude tomorrow night. Denver, though, on game number 5 on its own home floor, a slight underdog. The Clippers, a slight series favorite at -164. My final point about this one before we head to game 3 between the Warriors and the Rockets. DRS, as you see it right there, very, very close distinction. 7 games, as we really have anticipated the entire time, is a minus money favorite at -115. Where would that 7th game be? In Denver, where right now, despite the Clippers being a series favorite, Denver has a shorter price to win in 7, plus 250, 20 cents shy of the Clippers to win in 7, plus 270. Just keep that in mind if this does go the full duration in this opening round.
I thought those odds absolutely make 0 sense. Like we were talking about, the opening was like that -120 price, -117 for the Clippers. That was before we had 7 games to play. Now you're in a condensed series where 2 of the 3 games are in Denver at this point, and the Nuggets are still a +138 underdog price. It's sometimes the odds, I look at these and they don't make some sense, which we're going to get to that Warriors-Rockets series in just a bit. But I for the life of me, the Nuggets should be favored the rest of the way. Yeah. What's the game 5? Hold on, let me just say, what is the game 5 price that we're looking at? So the Clippers are favored to win in Denver. So this is wild. So again, I like the Clippers. I want the Clippers to advance. That was my team. Now I'm on the complete opposite side. You got to prove the odds makers wrong. Nuggets win game number 5. Nuggets win the series. How are they underdogs in their own building in game 5? And number 2, how are they underdogs for the series? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
You've got home floor advantage back if you're Denver. You've got to win your 2 home games. Doesn't matter what happens in LA in game number 6. You're good. If you want the Clippers because you think they are deservedly the series favorite, just bet the money line price for game 5 at -132, better than the -164. Game number 3, DRS on Saturday in San Francisco between the Warriors and the Rockets. No Jimmy Butler after the scary fall early in game number 2, but really no issue for the Dubs as long as you still have Steph Curry. 104-93 victory for Golden State behind 36 points from Steph. They got 17 from Buddy Hield off the bench, 16 more from Gary Payton II. Some regular postseason contributors for Golden State. And Donnie, if you're looking at this Houston team in the referendum for the regular season, if Jalen Green is going to score in single digits, as he has done in game number 1, in game number 3, the Rockets have no shot. If he scores 38, as he did in game 2, then yeah, maybe Houston will look the part of a 2 seed. Golden State takes a 2-1 series lead ahead of game 4 on this Monday night.
Here's what I need now. And I don't know the status on Jimmy Butler coming up for game number 4. But let's just say Jimmy Butler is out for the rest of the series. You tell me right now how we're going to have an NBA season of 82 games next year where the number 2 overall seed got whitewashed by a team without their second best player. I don't even know where I'm going to go. So the fact that I saw Jimmy Butler was down, like, oh, here come the Rockets. You're going to win game number 3. Who knows what you have in game number 4? Because it'll be a kitchen sink game at home for the Warriors, but at least you got a 2-2 at home court advantage back on your side. You're now looking at a chance without Jimmy Butler again in another game to be up 3-1 for the Warriors. We know how good Steph Curry is, one of the best basketball players ever to lace them up. But that shouldn't be good enough for just him alone to beat a Rockets team that was a number 2 seed at this point. I'm baffled by this series, and it made it even worse. Because if Jimmy Butler played all the way through, like, hey, you know what? Yeah. Long series here, and the Rockets got beat, I'd still be upset about it. But the fact that Jimmy Butler's missing full games just about, and then the entirety of the last game, and the Warriors are still up 2-1, stop the madness, man. Cut the regular season. I'm telling you, cut the regular season if the Rockets get washed out by Golden State.
The Warriors did cover as a 3-point home favorite, even without Jimmy on Saturday night. 3.5-point home favorite for game number 4 on this Monday in SF. Jimmy Butler may be going to play. A points prop available. More around the Western Conference next.
Career season for Elly De La Cruz. It happened last year. One of the most popular players in baseball as well. And a lot of guys are stealing bases again, and some of them seem like they may be able to steal more bases than Elly De La Cruz on the Cincinnati Reds. So I will ask you this question, Tom. Buy or sell? De La Cruz will lead the league in steals this season.
Sell. I sell on this. I'm not going to say it's already because he's just a handful behind, but there's another Cruz that could easily lead the league in steals. That's O'Neal Cruz. But like you said, there are a lot of players stealing. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, is always a viable option. Victor Scott, we know it can be very good. I think that's where we'll see things end up. The fact that he did so last year and he was the odds-on favorite to lead the league in steals this year, I just don't see it repeating. And frankly, there's going to be a point where maybe the Reds need to protect him. Like, they need him to be healthy. You don't want him potentially risk himself on any further injury if they're going to make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll catch fire. I'm going to buy this. And the Reds went for about a week and a half without basically scoring a run. I do think as the weather heats up, he will get on base more. It has been, as I've said, a wintry April in a lot of different locations. And I can't quite figure out why the Reds, especially at home, are not hitting like they have in the past. And I'm just going to put it down as weather and nothing else. So I'm going to say De La Cruz at the end of the year does it. The competition, and Tom brought up a great point. O'Neal Cruz certainly off to a great start too. But I'm going to end up buying this, and I think 85 steals again for Elly De La Cruz, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, why not?
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's round out the weekend that was through the NBA playoffs in the Western Conference. Also on Saturday at ARS, the Oklahoma City Thunder sweep the Memphis Grizzlies. Not quite as comfortably as we thought it might be, either in Game 4 on Saturday, as the Grizz did not have Ja Morant. Certainly not in game number 3 late last week as OKC came back from down 29-32, something ridiculous, to beat Memphis in game number 3. The Thunder won game 4 by only 2, despite being a 15.5-point favorite. Regardless, at the end, it will show 4 wins for OKC and 0 for Memphis in that 1-8 split. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, even a stronger favorite to win the Western Conference crown after their opening round set is done at minus 185. The Warriors, a 7-1 price, 2-1 series lead, getting ready for game 4 on this Monday against the Houston Rockets. Because of the change we have seen, Minnesota up 3-1 over LA. The Lakers had the second best price to win the Western Conference title entering the opening round set of this NBA playoffs. Now it's Minnesota, third best number to plus 750. Clippers there at 10-1. But the Nuggets are about to be no slouch, DRS, and a 24-1 price on Denver.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And you look at some of those wild statistics and numbers, like the Rockets at 33-1. They're not even moving all that much because, again, the FanDuel Sportsbook and the odds makers already had them punching their ticket out of round number 1 before this series even started. But it will be interesting to play, like, how good are the Warriors here? Is Jimmy Butler going to be healthy? 7-1, second in line right now, which is pretty crazy in the odds market. The Wolves playing great basketball against the Lakers. Or could we have some comebacks here? And look at the Clippers, again, at a 10-1 price. See, again, it doesn't, like, the Clippers are a 10-1 price, and the Nuggets are 24-1. Home court advantage still with the Nuggets with 3 games left in that series. After a game, the Nuggets just won. Would these numbers, Ben, be wildly different? Let's just say there wasn't a collapse in the fourth quarter. Nuggets won by 17 over the Clippers. Are those roles reversed? Like, sometimes I look at the NBA and say, I don't know who comes up with the algorithm, but to me, it doesn't make any sense. Like, who would you rather bet right now? The Clippers or the Nuggets at those 2 price points, knowing that the Nuggets have home court advantage now? I don't understand. I just don't.
It's Denver, right? It's the playoff and championship pedigree. Sure, there has been a lot of chaos for the Nuggets in the final 2 weeks. Is this year's Denver's team the same as the team that won a championship 2 years ago? Absolutely not. Is Nikola Jokic still tasked with doing basically everything for Denver to even have a shot? Sure, but the Nuggets have home floor advantage in a best-of-3 series against the LA Clippers. They could win each of their home games by a point, and that's all that would matter to advance to the second round. Do they get Oklahoma City in round number 2? Does it make sense to think the Nuggets and or the Clippers could beat the Thunder at this moment? Probably not. But if you're comparing the Clippers and the Nugs specifically, DRS, 24-1 on the team that has home floor advantage for 2 of 3 games, needing to win both of those as compared to 10-1 on the team that doesn't. That's that. That's the difference.
It is, like, again, like the Warriors up top makes sense. Then you see the Thunder, obviously in first makes sense. The T-Wolves about to close out the Lakers. That makes sense. The Clippers and the Nuggets prices don't make any sense. You can even say like the Rockets price, like, a 2 seed, too much too soon for them, had a decent regular season, cream rises to the top. Okay, I'll buy into it, even though that number is ridiculous at a 33-1 price. But that Nuggets-Clippers series is driving me crazy, like almost the graphic we showed before, whereas the series price itself, like, I don't understand. Yeah. The Nuggets should be a minus 145 to minus 150 favorite on beating the Clippers at this point with home court advantage. Something to watch out, but as I said, usually the odds maker is the smartest man in the room, and we'll see if it plays out that way.
But again, we are trending to the Thunder being in pole position and in full command for the Western Conference Championship. OKC is going to be sitting refreshed. We are going to have the rest versus rust debate. I can guarantee you that, because more than likely the Clips and the Nugs go to 7 games, and OKC is going to have 2 weeks off in between when they swept Memphis before they get the winner of that opening round series between Denver and Los Angeles. One question I have for you quickly, DRS. We'll get to the Eastern Conference to start off our second hour on the other side of the break. Let's assume Golden State beats Houston. They're up 2-1. They're a favorite tonight in Game 4. And Minnesota does beat the Los Angeles Lakers in their opening round series. Golden State would be the 7th seed. Minnesota would be the 6th seed. The Timberwolves still have home floor advantage. But the Dubs are the favorite for that conference semifinal series, yes?
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way they've been priced all along at this point, which includes round number 1 and also in some of these games without Jimmy Butler still being favorites over the number 2 seed. Yeah, why not? Let's keep it rolling, Warriors.
Plenty of Eastern Conference recaps from the playoffs up next when Hour 2 comes your way.